Yo, somebody must get stepped upon for me to squeeze my corns in these Allen Edmonds. Patent leather with the satin karma bond. James Bond aura, accent from across the pond. Parsimonious, the bread quite frugal. That's what keep the cupboard full. There's chips in my bugle. The coffers feel ridiculous. The peacoat meticulous. A packer on the collar, glow on the pinky and wrist. Davidoff cigar, no smoke in the bar. The king with two eagle heads, a palm like I'm Jabbar. Kareem as a Kareem through the city like a dream. The peasants pay me homage like I'm Jesus on the scene. I'm clean, but in the inside I'm dirty. Responsible for taking out a whole country by the age of 30. That was like work, no blood on my shirt. Now at night I can't sleep, cause with Beelzebub I flirt. He pays well, but in the end I get jerked. My woman don't respect me, she's with me for the power. Inhale a block of sour just to pass miserable hours while I medicate my pain locked away in glass towers. Dominant, hierarchy, bourgeoisie, oligarchy. The art of being a failed copy of a carbon copy. Illuminated still lack the light of a commonality. The plot is sloppy, still I press on without the scepter in my... Japanese denim with the sharp creases in them. The king made plans to fool, cost an addendum, whether ruled by right or ruled by force. The people wanted to feel that they actually had a choice. The path they were on required a new course, so amongst their own ranks they were searching for a voice. The royals are bourgeois, elites are bruja. They wanted authentic, organic, no hoopla. Funny how it starts with the best intentions is tainted. A champion rose up but the face he wore was painted, but they saw Messiah. Little did they know that the game played was ancient. Create an idol, give him a title or her, long as the vision blur. Gotta be confused with the character Ben Hur. Saffron colored jewelry or brooches on fox fur. The long-term effects now studied at Oxford, where they realized the light was still in the Oxford. It's awkward to take flight among the yardbirds. What's the point of speaking truth when the words can't be heard? Thankfully some ears were tuned when it occurred. What is this you mention? Well, give me your attention. It started with some henchmen dressed in Japanese denim. In their pockets lay the secrets of the knockers, but the venom had long been extracted, though nothing left in them. The underdog is dangerous, watch him go and sick 'em. Saturn, father and son united on December 24th, the truth was then united. 2020 vision for those who once were blinded by Balenciaga belt buckles, bricks and fake diamonds. Joseph saw Mary approach and broke a hymen. It was love on the rocks, Picard and Neil Diamond. From children of the corn to the light that was shining, such and such, so and so, and the hero keeps climbing. Back in the day, it's not the same as present timing. The people want a spectacle, a martyr and a shaman. Doctor Strange with an English twang, a Brit full of wit with a watch on chain. A OG hustling the all black range, did 10 back around, diamonds in pinky rain. If God is a man, why does man see God in another man's reality who life's a facade? If flowers grow from feces, dark depths of a being where the ego takes a nod. The puppeteer in Japanese denim gets applause. He's invested in the downfall of the first flaw. Nobody says his name, but they know his game. He controls all the gates with the fiat and fame. Just donate your name. Japanese denim with the sharp creases in them. The king made plans to fool, cost an addendum. Peace. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Peace, peace. Hope I can be heard. We've made it back for another conversation. Today's date is April 10th, 2026. Peace, Black Butterfly. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Peace. Peace, Tisha Gordon. Peace, God Science. Peace, A Rhythm in the Dark. Peace, Magician. Thank y'all for joining in today. So, I don't know what again. You know, before that, the retrograde in Pisces, I talked about leading up that it was going to be a humdinger. And you know how you know things, but it's a difference between
once you actually experience it and see how it actually unfolds. So so you have to bear with me today. I guess today is kind of my own personal reflections, but through that, you can just think about how things have kind of played out for you relative to the energies and the archetypes at play during that Mercury retrograde piece. Olin. Um, okay, so of course I can't remember everything as far as all the aspects unfolded during Mercury's retrograde, but leading up to it, I talked about the fact that Mercury was doubly debilitated in this retrograde that we just experienced. Not only was it retrograde, but it was in Pisces, so doubly debilitated. And we talked about how the difficulty of getting the expression of the lived experience, trying to get it out, but that there was a rich internal environment that was going on. We talked about the magic that is implicit around Mercury being in Pisces. Debilitation always is also an opportunity. Um, Lisa said it was rough and challenging. Yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, yeah, but I feel you. Um, but that when when something is taken away, and what we mean by taken away is when a planet's debilitated, its innate operation is hindered, right? And it has to learn how to operate on a different system. And what it offers, all debilitations provide an opportunity to increase, enhance, develop creativity. Because when something's taken away, you have to create something new. And that's why and Bernadette Brady in her book, I can't remember which one it is, it may be Eagle and the Lark, she leads off talking about how the power of debilitated planets, that the planets bringing something to that field of experience that that previously wasn't perceived, right? I even reflect on how I even talked about the full moon, how my words, how I feel like even my ability to express around the full moon energy was so limited. And it was just, and how there's been so many things that I've wanted to bring forth. Peace, cash rules. I wanted to bring forth so many things during this period, so many revelations, and it was just, it just didn't materialize. For one, I had to take care of, you have to prioritize. And I have so many thoughts, but you have to prioritize what is immediately in front of you. Um and so other things just get put on the back burner because they don't take precedent. And so I had to put all these revelations on the back burner, and when I could, take notes down. um but and I don't know if I'll be able to get it all out, but I will say, and that's why sometimes I have to do these videos, like I have to do quick snippets or something, because I don't know if I'm gonna get back on to talk directly about it. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna lead off with this. I gotta say this because Mars is in Aries. Because the video is Mars in Aries, Mercury clears its shadow, truth revealed. I got to do a separate video on this, but for now, I must touch on this while it's fresh on my brain. Mars in Aries is in its domicile, right? It's the depositor of the Aries energy. It's the ruler, the despot. So it has the ability to function, right? We just talked about planets being debilitated. Well, Mars has just come out of a space where it does not have direction. Mars in Pisces is like trying to fire a gun in the ocean. It has the intent to do what it does, to leave the chamber and to go direct through whatever its target is. But it's got other factors, the physics of it being underwater completely skews its mission or its archetypal natural expression, right? It's in Pisces. So now Mars is in Aries. But I had a revelation the other day. We use words like divine feminine and divine masculine in the so-called spiritual world, right? And I say so-called not to demean the idea of spirituality, but because, let's just be honest, it has become a catchword, right? And it almost makes you not want to use it sometimes because people have sullied it with it just gets thrown around so much. But you know what's funny? If we're honest, the way we think about masculinity and femininity, the lines blur between female and male. Listen to what I'm saying. Male and masculinity are not always the same things, just like female and femininity are not always the same thing. The yin and yang symbol gives us the perfect summation of what I'm trying to say. In the black, there's a little bit of white. In the white, there's a little bit of black. Every one of us possesses masculine and feminine qualities and a commingling of these energies. Okay. Now, femininity is naturally a magnetic drawing in energy. Now, the female anatomy does mirror femininity, just like the male anatomy mirrors masculinity, because where femininity is a drawing in, masculinity is a pushing out. While Mars is in Aries, we run the risk of the toxic masculinity going to epic proportions. But see, hold your horses, because see how our brains are programmed to where when we hear toxic masculinity, it naturally brings up thoughts of, a man whose ego is out of check and he's a womanizer, or he talks down to women, or he's chauvinistic, blah, blah, blah. But toxic masculinity does not apply to a gender. That's we have to understand, take words at what they actually mean, not their connotative meaning. When we talk about toxic masculinity, we're talking about the outward thrusting of energy. right? So if you're a woman, you still can outwardly thrust energy. If you're a man, you can outwardly thrust energy. So toxic masculinity is about the noxious or poisonous aspect of the ego. Have you ever heard anybody online ever break it down like that? Have you ever heard anybody separate it from gender factions and fighting and men do this, women do? Have you ever heard anyone present it in this manner? Okay. So, do you understand that the internet itself is an engine and a tool of toxic masculinity? The irony. Oh, the irony that even as some people get on the internet and talk about toxic masculinity, they are themselves representing what it really means, because this was designed to feed the negative gene of the ego. When you go on TikTok, it is just as many women threatening each other online as there are men. So one minute they're talking about, you know, healing your womb and, and reclaiming this and the divine feminine, and everybody looks the same. They got the same, earrings in the nose. And I ain't busting on nobody's whatever, but it's just funny how people follow. They follow trends and they don't, I'm different, I'm unique, but how everybody look this, it's the same thing, and they get on, they say, y'all, the problem with y'all is it's the same. So I have to put myself here and you down here, all close up in the camera. It always got to look like I got everything under control. That is toxic masculinity. I don't care if it comes from a man or a woman. It's toxic masculinity because I need to push out an image to you that I want you to perceive of me. I can't never let you see me when my shit fucked up. Right? I can't never just tell you, sometimes I ain't got all the answers. Matter of fact, I can't say I don't know. Ask me anything. I got to figure out a way to talk around it and I got to answer. That's toxic masculinity presented from men and women. And so we've already we've been living through it, right? But I think we'll see that reach a ticking point in this space we're moving in, where all the outer planets were in feminine signs, magnetic drawing in signs, and they're now in masculine pushing out signs. So if that negative gene of the ego was not dealt with when they were in those drawn underground hidden energies, then guess what's about to come all out on full stage? A big old bag of poison, and it'll be packaged as I'm this, I'm that, I sit on this council. My ancestors do this for me, and this, toxic masculinity. You're right. But everybody's saying that they got the answer. It's another expression of toxic masculinity. For some reason, I think I am like, have you ever been around people who always got to tell you their ranking or how significant they are? You ever been in a situation like that where somebody got to tell you, I do this and I have this power and I can, and I'm gonna explain something. Sometimes your power is so strong, even if it's quiet, because everything is about energy. Make no bones about it. Everything is about energy. Your presence, you ain't said nothing, you ain't boast, and people feel your energy and it's bothersome, and they must make announcements about who they are and what powers they have. That's toxic masculinity. The divine feminine is so powerful that it does not have to state itself. Did you hear that? Or run it back. The divine feminine is so powerful, it never has to make an announcement. So from that perspective, how many people are actually living in their toxic masculinity that everybody talks about? I'm this, I'm that, I can do this. You better watch out. Don't you fuck with me. I'll do. Let me tell you something. My wife, before we got married, she used to have this thing up in her, and I'm gonna take this to gender. I'm moving from spiritual energy to straight gender, but I'm gonna tie it in because she said a woman is like a tea bag. You never know what she's capable of till you put her in hot water. She had like this little saying up in her bathroom. And I always grabbed me, And so I was just talking about my frustration with I've been wanting to come forth on the camera and talk about all these divine revelations and this and that, because I feel like it's some deep stuff. But guess what? The divine feminine in me, right, has said, no, you take care of your home. You know what I've been doing? I'm going to go down through all the list of all the crazy things happened during Mercury's retrograde in Pisces. I mean, and I don't know if I got enough time, but I'm going to try to, make all this make sense. I have come at 49 years old. I'm coming to the realization that if only one person knows, or 3 or 4 or 5 knows who I really am and what I really stand for and what energy I am representing, then that has to be enough. There's so many things I feel like from an ego perspective, I really could grandstand. People be talking to me, and I got a robust ego. Don't make no bones about that. But still, I let people talk. I let them talk and make announcements. And I be thinking, if I told you, you know who the fuck I am? Motherfucker, you talking, do you know who I am? And that to really tap into that divine feminine is, do you get to the ability where I don't have to tell you? Because you know what? I know energetically, you know what I am, because you feel compelled to convince me of what you are. I used to, before my barber started doing appointments, I used to be ready. The difference between Jamal at 40 and Jamal at 49 is I used to be ready for if anybody wanted to debate me. be ready, And even when my books, I don't know if I can, I'm trying to think of one I can grab. I have books where you can see, this is why it's important to leave your notes that you've taken, right? If my children, when I go on, if they look in my books, they'll see a progression. They'll see in 2015, I'm taking notes as if I'm trying to prepare for a doctoral defense to defend my thesis. It's like I'm collecting data. I go back to some of these books I've had for 10, 11 years. Some of them I never cracked. Some of them I did. And the ones I did, it's like, I'm laughing at myself. Like, look, you can see where my mind was. I was trying to prove something by what I highlighted in the books. Now, when I read the books, I'm reading these shits for application. Listen to me. That's the difference. When you're acquiring knowledge to prove something, when you're acquiring knowledge because I want to be able to show, and I'm on, it's the difference when you are acquiring it for application. It hits. I gotta get a book and see if I can see if I can do a real time. Let's see if I can find something, because I was looking at something the other day. I got this book I've had this book for, I don't know, at least 10 years. Okay, here's an example. So here's this book. It's called The Subtle Body. And you can see that years ago I had highlighted it. Obviously, I had picked the book up and it wasn't really nothing I was really very keen on, because I ain't marked the book up. When I'm really locked into a book, this is how you know that see that? When I really have gone through a book and it's like, oh my God, you'll see it'll be all messed up. Page tabs, highlighting everywhere. So I highlighted here something about somatics, seeing sound, the fields of life. Somatics, a term coined by Hans Jenny. It reveals this truth through the presents proof that vibration underlies all reality, and it reveals this truth through the study of sound waves in a medium. It is based on the observation that vibrating bodies produce patterns. Many of you all, I think I attract the scholars on the cyber highway, so I'm sure many of y'all are familiar with cymatics. So I was like, cool. But when I go back now and consider things like this, and now you can see now this is where Jamal locked in the book, because now you see in the front I'm looking at the cells, and what is the voltage at the cell membrane, what's the gradient voltage, and what's the actual operating voltage. What you can see from the transition from what I highlighted 10 years ago to now is that I was looking at the surface. Now I want to look at how does it really work in me and in other people. The surface is masculine, which is not saying that that's bad. We need something that we need a sun sign, but we also need a moon sign that deals with our internal operation. And so at this point in life, I want to know what's the underneath, not to prove shit, not to get on the internet and sound, it kills me. These dudes that can get on here and talk, and the theosophical stuff, they can go and go and go. And it's like, and they wow people with their ability to just have an answer for everything, but what I'm more concerned with is what's the underworkings of it. And that's why this quote is up in here by Idris Shah. Wisdom is when you understand what previously you only knew. So the toxic masculinity is about impressing how you shoot energy out, impressing by what you are presenting, right? And just as there's a toxic masculinity, there's a toxic femininity. And Venus has just moved through Aries, which I got Venus and Aries in my chart. So then that brings up the toxic femininity. And that is a covetous energy. I want what someone else has. It's jealousy. That's the toxic side of the toxic femininity. It is selfishness based on a feeling of lack. Okay. But I don't want to, because that's not what the conversation was. But I did have to touch on that while it was fresh on my mind. And I think it all is relevant. But on the positive side of Mars and Aries, if there is no adrenal system in the body, if there's no cortisol, there is no life. Mars is the impetus to move forward. And if there is no impetus, then there is no life. So Mars in Aries is a reinvigorating energy that reminds us that we cannot be docile. We have to take action. And if you remember the video I did about 2026, it's all about Aries. It's about iron. It's about forward movement. It's about Asiya, the world to come. It is about the gold comes from the north, right? So what have I received? Now, what am I doing with it? Okay. So that's Mars and Aries. What next? Mercury clears the shadow. Let's get into the conversation now. That was the warm up. Mercury. Now, some astrologers, astrologists or astrologers believe that the idea of a Mercury shadow is rubbish. Okay. And so what you have to do is you have to take your lived experience and see this particular Mercury retrograde, if nothing else has validated the idea of a shadow for me, then this one here, although I already subscribe to the idea of a shadow. And what's a shadow with retrograde? It is planet Mercury moved from 22 of Pisces to 8 of Pisces. Okay. So even when it moved direct at 8 degrees, it still was in its shadow. And so they didn't clear the shadow until it gets beyond the point at which it turned retrograde, which is 22 and some odd minutes. That happened yesterday, the same day that Mars, April 9th, Mars made its ingress into Aries, Mercury cleared its shadow. And that's why truth revealed, because that Mercury shadow, it is like you start to have a realization of what the past what the whole retrograde was about. That's what it is. You go forward, the planet moves retrograde, and you're revisiting stuff. So it's like, oh God, you're having to redo stuff. You're having to, oh man. Then the planet goes direct, and you're trying to get momentum back. But once it clears the shadow, the reward is the understanding. Wisdom is when you understand what previously you only knew. The clearing of the shadow is the rewarding time. You're being rewarded for the fact that you were a student willing to learn. And the reward is the knowledge or the wisdom, or better yet, the understanding. I'm glad that I wasn't able to do this in the time frame I wanted, because if I had, I would have missed that. Ooh. Oh, I'm glad I had to go back and fix that. Oh, shit. That could have been way worse. Or this thing that happened to me is giving me deeper insight into, oh man, now I understand things at another level. But it took this painful situation. So let me read you a list of things that happened during this retrograde. Threw my back out. Remember, Venus was in Aries, and the Aries Libra axis, Aries is here. Libra, that axis rules the lower spine, or the lumbar. Okay. Threw back out. Respiratory infection. I heal myself. If you go on my TikTok, it's on my Circle of Life TikTok. I showed how I was treating myself with the respiratory infection. Use my software to scan myself to see what was going on. I took homeopathic, my organic ginger and turmeric, fresh pepper, fresh ground pepper, sea salt, liquid vitamin C, liquid zinc, liquid vitamin D, taking that, getting rest. Soon as I healed from the respiratory infection, my right hand, I have a reoccurring thing with my thumb. Oh shit. Thank you, Spirit. This is what I cannot bypass this. Check this shit out. This is what we mean by living not as theoretical, that your studies become a lived experience. Okay, so listen to this shit. First of all, I'm left-handed. So thank the great Spirit for left-handed, and the mercy of my right hand being one that was messed up. So my dominant hand I still use. So this is in the midst of this retrograde, right? And it's right here at the end. So I'm frustrated. Message came. It said, I couldn't remember on the Baphomet if this one, because the Baphomet has on its arms, solve and coagula. And I couldn't remember which one was on. So I had to go back and look at the picture again. The right arm has solve on it. The left arm has coagula. And I said, oh shit. It's my right hand that's hurting. So this is how you do your own research on yourself. Remember, everything is energy. So if something is going on within you physically, never negate the energetic underlying component, because that's the real deal. That's the root cause. Okay. And how my mind is thinking, how I am emotionally functioning is directly tied to my body. So Thursday night, a week ago, that Thursday, my hand was throbbing so bad while I was sleeping. So I said I had already looked up and remembered that solve is on the right side. So solve means to release. When we solve something, we break it down. That's what Pisces is. Pisces is the solvent. It dissolves. Virgo, the opposite, is the coagulation. Because on earth, as it is in heaven, heaven is the solve, earth is the coagula. So I said, Jamal, you got to release. So what I started doing is laying there and saying to myself, I release everything that I don't have control over. I am acknowledging I don't control everything. I release that shit. I release it. And then I started, because my hand, I couldn't grab nothing. So I needed to mentally and emotionally remind myself of everything I had. I got a down ass woman with me. You know, I have my children. I've created spiritual rituals for my children that nobody knows about outside of these walls, because I don't go and brag about them. And, it's for us to know. They will know. They'll remember. Right. And so I made a list in my mind mentally. I was like, motherfucker, look at all the shit you've done. Look what you got. Because I needed to remind myself what I possess, because the hand grabs and possesses. And at the same time, I had to release. Now, my hand I'm not going to lie and be like, and my shit was miraculously. No. But you know what happened? That damn throbbing stopped so I could sleep. It was hurting. And, I got a high pain threshold. I've broken bones. I've torn muscles. I know, I got a pretty high. And I don't like taking ibuprofen and stuff. So I said, I'm just going to deal with it. So it calmed down. And over those next couple of days after that, it started to heal. So here was a problem that rose up during the retrograde for me to get deeper into my own mental, spiritual practice. Like, you got to control your motherfucking mind, or this fucked up reality will fuck with your motherfucking mind, and fucked up people will control that shit too. Because what do people who are disempowered want the most? To feel like they got power over somebody else. You understand me? You understand what drives the toxic masculinity? It is disempowerment. I don't have no control over my reality, so I want to control somebody else's. So you must be in control of your mind, and you have to do things in your silence. When ain't nobody watching, no camera on, there's no fanfare. That is the true divine feminine, because the feminine operates in the dark and the masculine operates in the light. And you have to do shit in the dark to help you in the light. Nobody was there to see it. And you could say that I'm bullshitting now, but I ain't. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. This retrograde, listen to me. So Gemini Brown put out a post, and he's saying something like he gonna start going around doing like these in-person events, and he mentioned something I didn't read out, but I saw it's something about ancestral astrology. I must say this. Yo, I said, if I come out and talk about what has been on my mind, because I had these long gaps between me putting out content, it's going to seem like I'm biting this brother's, you know what I'm saying, his steez, right? But what's funny is he's a Gemini. I'm an Aquarius. So, I already fuck with the Geminis. We got an understanding on that air shit, but I'm also a Sagittarius rising. So I said, it's awful funny. Hey, we ain't talked in a long time, and that something he has come out with is something I've been dealing with. Because during the retrograde, do you know what I found? I've been trying to find my father's. I always felt like I wish I had a chart for my old man. I wish I had a chart for my maternal grandmother. I wish I had a chart for my mother's brother. And you know what happened? Some spirit told me, call back up to Asheville and try one more time. Guess what I was gifted during retrograde? I know my father's birthday. I got a chart for my daddy. I got a chart for my grandmother, for my Uncle John, my Aunt Leela May, my grandmother, my Uncle Labib. I got these charts. And so so guess what it put my mind in the frame of? Ancestral astrology. On my mother's side, there's a propensity towards anemia. My uncle Labib had sickle cell anemia, right? My mother does not have sickle cell anemia, but she has always had an iron deficiency. You know what both of them got in their chart? Mars in Venus. Mars in Libra. Mars, which rules over iron, debilitated in both charts. And guess what? My grandmother is a Libra rising, a person who was driven by a relationship, but never had a lasting relationship. So then her two children were born with the planet that represents passion and identity, Mars in Libra, karmically trying to fulfill what she was not able to because she was a Capricorn. And so she eventually got deep into the church and became the Capricorn hermit. Couldn't find love. So then they would come through karmically and be born to where they find their identity through relationship and love. Ain't that some shit? And then, but on a health perspective, it then represented as them having iron deficiencies. My father, when he passed away in 2014, I was still in my fledgling stages of learning astrology. So I wasn't looking at no, you know what I'm saying? I ain't no shit from Shinola. But I knew this internally. I told a guy that he had mentored. I said, he came up to me at the funeral and I was like, man, thank you for coming, Pete. And I was like, I'm going to carry on my father's work. Now, I didn't know what I meant by that. I just knew because I had, by this time I got my father's books and I see how he used to take these notes and I see there's a point around where I'm at now. My father started kind of slowing down. He was in that Isis Unveiled and he was all, metaphysical books and he something kind of, but here's what's crazy. My father, when I got his chart, I'm a Sagittarius rising. Guess what my father is? Sagittarius rising. 1 degree, his ascendant is 1 degree from my ascendant. I am a sun in Aquarius. My father is a sun in Leo. So who am I? I am a direct reflection of my father. And I look just like him. I look just like my daddy. I am literally his reflection according to his astrological chart. So indeed, I was karmically supposed to come through to finish his work. All this happened during the retrograde. My wife got sick. I nursed her back. My mama got sick. I nursed her. As a matter of fact, nursed her back so well, she's about to come in. She went back to her swim class today. She had enough strength to go and do her swim class, So my knowledge of homeopathic remedies, it increased during this retrograde. I mean, exponentially. You know how powerful it is to know which cell salt to give somebody? You know how powerful it is to whip up something in your house and give that, and then to be able to see. You know how powerful it is to be able to take the DNA and put it into a device and scan. You know how much spiritual inclination it takes to know, okay, to not panic. Oh, let me just run to the urgent care, right? So faith is not a religious word. Faith is a word that supersedes, goes beyond religion. Faith means a trust. And the trust is in my connection to the great flame. During retrograde, I wrote something here. Oh, wow. On the go. I'm going to have to post this one. Look at this. Mars and Libra, sickle cell trait, Sagittarius Sun, Gemini rising, Scorpio Venus. Wow. And Lisa, you know what? I will. I will. You know what I'm gonna actually do? I'm gonna show me and my father's charts. And I'll tell you more about my father in the future. I'm gonna read this. I wrote this. It's not a, what do you call this? Let's just say it's an utterance. I wrote this during the retrograde. Oh, great flame, surround us, engulf us, imbue us, vitalize us, protect us, walk with us, abide with us, speak to us, speak through us, hear us, be our divine ears, see us, be our divine eyes, touch us, be our divine touch. Where there is darkness, may we be the light that illuminates. Everything we energize breathes the breath of life. Everything we magnetize aligns with the frequency of the great flame. We move safely and unscathed through all dimensions, all corridors, all areas, all environments. We are your divine reflection, purposed, protected, and predestined. I am that I am. Amen. Ashe. I wrote that and I felt that shit, right? This is all during the retrograde. Now, to something kind of dark. Something happened on, I want to say it was March 27th. There's a trainer. I work out at this gym called Lifetime. And there's this young kid there. Well, young brother, he's not a kid, he's a grown man, but a lot younger than I am. And he would see me at the gym, because what happens when we move my mother down here, I started taking her to the gym, and I would have her come upstairs and walk on the treadmill for 15 minutes. She'd be worn out. I walk her back to the elevator, watch her go down. She would sit till I would get done working out. And I finally got her to the point where she was starting to drive to the gym by herself. Then she started taking her swim class. Then she started making friends. Then she started going for coffee, and this guy would see me. He'd be like, man, I just want to tell you, man, I think it's really cool how you look after your mother, man. And I was like, all right, man, I appreciate it. I said, I'm just doing what I can do, man. On March 27th, let me check on her. The garage open. I ain't seen nobody coming. Y'all hold tight. I'll be right back to talk about this. Okay, she all right. She's sending a voice text. Okay. This brother ran into a wall. Like when down here we had these walls up behind neighborhoods, he's going down the road right on his work to the gym early in the morning, ran into a wall. I don't know how. And the car burst into flames. They said they couldn't get the body out for 3 hours. It was so many flames and so he passed away. I go to look up. Oh, thank you. Antonio Klein. Thank you for the cash app. I go to look up. They have his like this memorial picture up in the gym. And I find out that his birthday is October 20th, 1991. And, one of the videos I wanted to come out with was that every time Saturn and Neptune are conjunct, we have a new world order. And they were conjunct in 91, I think. 91, yeah. But but that's a sidebar. But the fact he's born on October 20th really grabbed my attention. Those of you who've been following my channel for a while know that I talked about a lady named Jerry Parkin, who was 84 years old, lived in Wisconsin. She was on her deathbed and wanted somebody to bequeath her books to. And she reached out to me, right? Sent me like, I don't know how many, tons of books. Well, this lady her birthday was October 21st, 1938. And she, so October 21st, the sun is at 27 degrees of Libra. This guy, born on the 20th, his sun is at 26 of Libra. Now, being a student of astrology makes your mind keen to pick up minute details and not miss when you're getting messages from realms beyond the 3D that can help you guide your life in the 3D. My north node in my chart is at 27 degrees of Libra. So I knew that the woman who was about to pass was part of a contract. It's not by happenstance that someone who comes in on your north node delivers something to push you towards your north node. And then this guy, 1 degree from my north node. So I had to sit with, well, what was his purpose? Why did I encounter this guy for that brief time? Well, my north node, 27 Libra. So guess what my south node? 27 of Aries, which is conjunct my Chiron at 28 of Aries. And at the time that he passed, guess what Chiron is at? 26 of Libra, opposite his sun. Now, my Chiron is in the 4th house in my chart. I'm telling you, so you say, I got Jamal's chart. I know that motherfucker. So in the 4th house, I have Chiron at 28. So, but right now, Chiron's so I'm in the midst of having my Chiron return. Okay. So what does Chiron do? Chiron is not just about the wounded healer. Chiron is, you have to factor in the centaur energy to get the full breath of Chiron. And so Chiron brings in some of the qualities of Sagittarius, which is a pursuit of a higher truth. It's a philosophy. It's about freedom. It can literally be travel. For me, I traveled, a long distance from my thank you. I traveled a long distance from my family when I moved to Texas. So I have Chiron in the fourth house in my chart. So I had to travel far away to find my identity, Aries, right? And to understand who I have been in this family through all of the difficult things I've experienced. And so I had to sit with, if someone comes for a brief time and he acknowledges something he's seen about you, and his sun is opposite your Chiron, the transiting Chiron, right? As you are approaching your Chiron return, that's not by happenstance. That's spirit speaking. And it didn't hit me until yesterday what the message was, as what? Mercury is clearing its shadow and Mars is moving into Aries, where we now have a stellium, right? And a stellium's going to add one. Mercury's going to move in next week. So what I came to grips with is that my mother has the moon opposite Uranus. And Uranus is a compelling energy. People with moon Uranus aspects tend to be unsettled, nervous energy, and can be combative. Okay. Well, guess what? I have the moon opposite Mars. So in college, they used to call me the defense team because I'd be ready to get on the defense. You're right. Ready to, there's a certain anger that can be sparked. Right. And, and there's a, impatience, right? There's a similarity between the Mars aspects to the moon as they are to as the Uranus aspect. So if I have that, then also that Mars moon opposition can mean that there's strife when it comes to me and my family. And if Chiron's in my fourth house, and guess what? It squares Mars. I'm telling you, this is why when I say people come and tell me all these things about themselves, and I'll tell you why I'm a master. I'm going to say it today. I am a master. It's because my chart is so fucked up. I have a very unique chart where it's called a splash. Shit is all over the place. So many people don't know what it is to have a grand cross because they've never lived through it. I was born with 2 grand crosses, fixed grand cross, cardinal grand cross, two yards in my chart. Both of them involve my ascendant. If you know anything about a yard, it takes you down into the depths before it brings you up. I have Saturn opposite my sun. Both of them receiving a square from Uranus. I'm telling you, my chart is a doozy. And that's what creates a master. Any fucked up opposition that you want to try to avoid in an astrological chart, I just about got it. Venus, sesqui-square Saturn. Mars, quincunx Saturn. Money, just Mars in the second house. Saturn debilitated in Leo. The sun debilitated. I'm telling you, my chart is fucked up. So that's why when I'm telling people the shit I do, I got license. When I'm telling you, you got to overcome that shit, you got to walk past it. It's not me reading some fucking self-help books. It's my chart. And because I carry myself the way I do, nobody knows about the internal turmoil. I don't feel comfortable with, I have not had the experience in my life of feeling comfortable within my own family and within my own race. You understand? So that North Node is pulling me from a space of feeling like I have to fight to a space of balance. That peace does exist. Peace does exist. And that I'm the one that has to be the one in my bloodline to bring that. I must, you know, when we was growing up going to church, it's like study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. You know, so my job is to bring the end to the war for my bloodline. Not by me saving everybody, but by me carrying out the mission that I'm supposed to carry out. And so if this person who passed and he highlighted, man, I see the way you take care of your, so I am supposed to, that is a reminder for me. I emotionally have to rise above my hurts, because you know I have, look, giving you, this is some for real astrological shit right here. If you have Saturn in the 8th house, you hold on to things. Like if somebody hurts you or harm you, you hold on. You know, I got my moon in the 8th house and Saturn in the 8th house. If you cross me, I never forget. Never. I never forget. So I'm having to deal with all those things internally and learn how to forgive and love the people who are worth my forgiveness and my love. And to learn how to not to worry about being liked by those who don't fucking matter. I'm a Sagittarius rising. When Sagittarius is on that axis of your 1st and 7th house, you may find yourself in a relationship with someone who is from far away. Let me tell y'all something about me. What I learned, a harsh lesson I learned about my people, so-called Black people, in 2018. It starts here. In 2017, Aline Bay came to town. And I had this, you know, I remember back in that time, it was all, I wanted to prove that I was, you know, I'm a great teacher and this and that. So he had come to Dallas to do a lecture. And I had told a lady that, hey, I want to see if can I open for him. So I go up to him, you know, he real laid back, you know. First I shook his wife's hand. She tried to break my hand, you know. I tried to, you know, you try to ease up because you know you don't want to shake him, but you know, she tried to give me the death grip. But she was cool. I go up to him. He's like, yeah, what's up, God? You know, it's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, man. I've been checking you out on the internet. I want, you know, see if I could do a little something. He was like, go ahead, God, I'll let you do your thing. 20 minutes, see what you can do, you know. So I go up and open. So lady sees me in the audience, um, and her name was Sister Cerelia. And I had to leave. So she stops me before I'm leaving. She said, I need to get your number, brother. And so she wanted me to start like maybe doing some stuff around here. Long story short, we go to the next year. I've been doing a couple little things around Dallas. We go to 2018 and I having a lecture at a bodega in Irving. And my wife shows up. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell y'all something about Jamal that many of you all who don't know me don't know. I'm a man of mystery. You would be surprised if you saw my wife. She's not a white woman. Make that, 'cause that's what a lot of people. My wife is Palestinian. My wife was born in Jerusalem, Palestine. She came to America when she was 12 years old. So I'm at this lecture and, you know, it's mostly women, mostly black women. And I'm thinking they are here because they love my teaching. They want to hear my wife walked in and I ain't trying to, my wife, she's a good looking woman. Okay. She walks in and the looks that were on the faces. And I know these looks. The looks were, look at this bitch. Fuck this bitch. This nigga right here. You know what I'm saying? And my whole energy just left me. And I felt betrayed. I said, I felt like I thought y'all really rock with me because you love what I was teaching and this and that. And no, 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 that wasn't what it was. And at that point, I pulled back. And you know what it did? It triggered in my chart. I have the moon in Cancer. Cancer, the moon in Cancer is in its home, right? But I want to feel like the Cancer energy is about safety. Emotionally, I need to feel like I can be in a place where I'm safe. I've never felt safe with my own people. Now, this ain't no Tommy Sotomayor type shit where I hate black folk, but I'm telling you, I don't. My track record speaks for itself. You don't see me on here shitting on women. I don't even shit on my ex-wife. You know, although I don't like to be around her, but I have standards I'm not going to stoop to. But when it comes to what we call so-called black people, let me tell you my experience growing up. If you are different, we'll shit on you. If you don't think like everybody else, we'll shit on you. If you excel, if you have a certain level of intelligence or creativity, we'll shit on you. My greatest traumas have come from black people. Now I ain't just excusing nothing else. Because me and my wife have had heated discussions about, how Arab people treat you when you go in the store, this and that. But you know what my daddy always told me? He say, I expect it from other people. But what hurts the most is when it comes from your own. And I'm telling you, nobody has hurt me more than so-called black people. And I ain't bullshitting, man. I used to be a child who smiled all the time, but my people made me hard. I'm so guarded, not just black people too, because I ain't excusing other white folk. I mean, but it's a different dynamic. I already feel like the world has known. I know how to come and I have a ton of so-called white clients. I got a lot of black clients, but understand, you all understand what I'm picking up when I'm putting down. I already kind of see them coming, but it's like with black folk, it's like I gotta, it's this, oh man, this feeling of if you ain't part of the clique, you ain't shit. And um my moon in Cancer, I desire to have dirt that I can settle my roots in. You know what I'm saying? And that moon in the eighth house in a yard to my ascendant. My people have not accepted me for who I am. When your moon is in conjunct to your ascendant, that means you don't feel safe with your own. My own family has made me feel certain ways at time about, you know, oh, you Henry's son, or you got all that, blah, 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 but you ain't got, just things that make me feel like I wasn't even part of my own family. And guess what? The two things that represent my identity are in conflict with my moon. My sun in Aquarius, my ascendant in Sagittarius. In conflict with my moon. Internal strife. But because I carry myself, because, Aquarius seems detached, Sagittarius is uber logical, and looking over the horizon, and people don't know how much, like, man, shit hurt me on the inside. So I've had to work through all of that and say, I'm still not going to hate my people. I'm not going to get on here. I could cook. I'm telling you, I could cook by creating content, just talking shit about black women. I could cook because there's a show enough market for that shit. I'm so slick. I could cook by talking shit about black men because the black women spend money. But it'll kill me. It'll kill me to be phony and not be what I am. So there you go. Everybody can know. My wife is Palestinian. And when I did my I used to have classes, someone said, because they started talking about, black women. So and I guess my face looked a certain way because I'm thinking, here we go with this. Because as a black man, look, man, we catch a lot of hell. Okay. We know black women catch hell, but sometimes it feel like because when you go in that courthouse, there ain't no lower feeling than getting shitted on in that courthouse, man. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. So I guess I looked a certain way, and she's like, Jamal, she's like, can I ask you a question? She's like, is your wife black? I was like, and I had to catch myself because my first response was going to be, what the fuck you asking me? What, I said, no. I said, why? She said, because your face because I am so accustomed to the judgment. You're going to arrest. Listen, let me tell you this. People who follow me on my channel. Oh, brother Jamal, I love you so much. And I made you a tickle me Elmo. And can I meet you at the parking lot? Then my wife showed me, and you see the face like, even dudes. Let me tell you something as men. This is on some player shit. You ain't never supposed to police another man's genitals. That is I can't say what I really would. As a dude, Now, women, that's another thing, because it's it's different dynamics. Sometimes the women may want you themselves, and it's a jealousy, yeah, and it ain't always about because she's not a black woman. Because when I was married to my first wife, who's a black woman, I had tons of black women on the side. So miss me with that bullshit of that fidelity because it's a sister. No, women will fuck. Understand that shit, and very well when they know you married. So all the hypocrisy, that shit, I hate hypocritical shit. Don't be fucking phony with me. But dudes is the worst. As a man, you a sucker if you sitting around. I can't say what I really want to say. Is man. So people meet you and then be like, oh, all of a sudden, all that knowledge I put out, it goes out the window because I don't fit what you think my shit should look like. Motherfuckers phony, man. And I'm gonna tell you something else about dudes. A dude gonna fuck. You can be on the internet talking about, oh, my divine queens. Let me tell you something. If a woman got a fat ass and she cute, she could be purple. Nigga gon' smash. You better believe that motherfucking shit. So all these fucking fake ass niggas who be on here talking all this, them. Let me tell you something. We are fucking men. They are full of shit. They are just like the preacher. They're preaching to the itching ear. They tell you what you want to hear. One, so you can spend money. And two, you might want to fuck too. Taking women up on the mountain and pissing on them and shit and calling in a spiritual retreat. Yeah. Yeah, I know about that shit. Firsthand from a woman who told me about it. So what I am not is I'm not fake. How about that? I'm not fake. You might not like me, but I am not fucking fake because I can't lie. That's why I don't do shit where people gonna come. Cause you're not gonna come and disrespect my wife and then be like, but you're cool, Jamal, but her. No, fuck that shit. Because when we was paying rent with $2 and doing real spiritual shit, where to go to Walmart and our rent is $1,400 and we pay it with $2, she was with me. She was with me when we got our shit locked out of the fucking storage center. And we went, because we couldn't pay the $300 bill, and we went and did a silent auction for $104 and got our shit back. It was me and her. That's why I rock with her. You can't say shit to me. You can't say shit. I ain't putting no pollutants in the world. I ain't out here lying. I ain't stealing. I ain't running no scams, getting you to run your credit card and then I don't fucking damn deliver. I'm not bullshit. So fuck anybody who got a problem with me. Or my woman or my family. I have to say this shit because this is part of this whole process. This is healing for me. This is healing for me. And some of those black women in my group, some of them are involved in interracial relationships. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind, not as far as judgment. It blew my mind that I'm sitting here thinking so much about, man, everybody's against me. I would have never imagined that a black woman would never. And I felt like, damn, I wonder what they've been dealing with. Where we are in this spiritual journey, man, it ain't enough. That's why I'm tired of all this fucking we. I'm tired of it. I am tired of this shit. It is bullshit. I'm tired of fake shit. It's all about me, not about being selfish, but it's about me working on me. And like I talked about that full moon in Libra, me looking at me, that my tendency, I got Venus and Aries. When it comes to any relationship, my tendency is being, look, my love is conditional. And if you ain't, if you rub me the wrong way, you're gonna see a difference in my expression of love towards you. You know, I don't get what I want, you're gonna see a difference in expression of love. I'm not loving you unconditional. So it took my children to teach me unconditional love, took my woman to teach me unconditional love. And it took me being the realization that to even look at myself, right? Um, but that unconditional love only goes to the people that is worth me giving that to. Everybody don't get no unconditional love. So I don't know what is all this is just Jamal keeping it real. And this is that Chiron in the fourth house. Because me talking to you all is part of the healing. I lived my life as the outsider, and the loneliness of not feeling like you got a group. Even with how I present my information, I'm not just a astrologist. That's one thing I do. Like when I play the music, I used to be hesitant even about that. I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm more than just a box. I am boxes. I'm a canvas. And so that's why even when I bring up the circle of life, because you're going to see my wife, you're going to eventually get to meet my wife. And what we're doing is so phenomenal just for the age of Aquarius that is upon us and the next phase of humanity. I am I am really I am about energy, man. It's about energy. That's why I am right now on my journey. It's about energy. I used to go to this store called African Connection here in Dallas. It was that same feeling of you're not accepted. Sagittarius can be a naive energy at times. I brought my wife in there. I'm thinking that energy. It's a dude that used to be beating on the drums, and he just be sitting there looking. I'd be like, nigga, you ain't got a woman. You can miss me. You at home beating your dick. You can miss me looking at me with a look of disapproval. But deep down though, that feeling of you're not one of us. It does hurt. Cause I'm not one of these people who just like, hi, my name's Jonathan, and I vote Republican, and that's not me. I'm not phony, but your people will decide for you that nah, we don't accept you. So even with that, I used to try to go there. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna create my own lane. I create my own lane. And you have to be okay with people not being okay with you. And even if your story has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, here's something you can relate to. You must be okay with people not being okay with you. We must stop romanticizing about melanin, stop romanticizing about we are this and we are that. And we must get down to serious consideration that melanin is the most powerful substance there is in the known universe. But it does not make it good. It's the most powerful substance that can be used for good or bad. And the revelation, a great revelation started with me when I thought about my grandmother Hattie died as a young woman in her 30s. My grandfather John on my father's side died and he was like 26. And all these stories, and I've heard a million other stories about people out drinking and partying and they dying suddenly. Do you know the reason I bring up all the spiritual people that like they be on TikTok, they be wearing they high John the Conqueror and all they you know, the mojo bag and this and that. And all that energy is directed at somebody who looks like this. But at the same time, talking about what we got to do, and we got to get into our African traditional religions and our ancestors. What fucking ancestors? Which motherfuckers are we talking about? Are you the representation? You motherfuckers who beefing every 5 seconds? And you know what the revelation hit? That's the dark side of the melanin. What happened? What happened was the people who had the greatest access to the magic lost their fucking minds and they started attacking each other. And the shit never stopped. All you motherfuckers romanticizing about us and we, that's the fucking truth. It's been nigger upon nigger from the beginning of time. And all the other peripherals just came in as opportunists. They ain't really running shit. My great grandmother was poisoned. My grandfather was poisoned by one of us. I ain't making this shit up. So where it has led me is to look, man, you got to work on your fucking self. And you know, while I'm being all this, can I lay something else out? You know who really, I don't know what it is about when people are about to die or transition. It's like their energy becomes, I couldn't stand Larry Walford, also known as Brother Panic. Couldn't stand him. Do you know whose energy resonates so much now? Brother Panic. Because he triggered those wounds. By the way, his inflection, I felt like he liked them people who used to not accept me growing up. And I missed a lot of, and people used to tell me, you know, man, sometimes some of the shit you be saying is you and Brother Panic be. I'm like, I don't want to hear that fucking shit. But if you take the absolute value, that motherfucker used to be hitting it on the head. It's about you. There ain't no us. It's about you. Now, everything I don't go to certain extremes, you know, but I'm telling you, I have to be honest and say and acknowledge that brother. And he's a Taurus. And I have a funny connection with Taurians because I'm a Sag rising. Jupiter's my ruling planet, and Jupiter's in Taurus. And he set the Baphomet down, said, you motherfuckers think this is a god. This is not a god. It is a representation of your energy. And when my hand was hurting, what did I consult? That image to unlock something that's already known in me. Solve, coagula. I had to unlock. I had to release. I think I've covered. I think I've said everything I wanted to say today. Oh, what's up? Say. So you in McKinney? All right. You out there by we went out there one time to get what's the name of the Family Feud, the barbecue place. Damn, what's the name of the barbecue place out there? You know what I'm talking about? Um, what's the famous the barbecue place out there? It's in Allen or McKinney. Um, damn, what's the name of that barbecue place? But that's cool. I didn't know you was down here in Texas. We had to circle the wagon sometime. But I this has been long overdue. Um I am, this is it took a lot of you it took a lot of years. Um oh, a rhythm in the dark. My cash app is I'll put it in the thing that what I want to I think hold on, let me see if I got this right. I don't even remember I think it's dollar sign the gnosis 77. Yeah, that's it. Dollar sign the gnosis 77. Thank you for any thank y'all for any love shown. Thank you. Um what was I about to, yeah, it took a lot of time. Like I am I am so thankful that I was contracted with the chart that I have through all of the whatevers. And I'm gonna show y'all my chart. Um um but what was I about to say? Oh yeah, to be able to live through these aspects. I'm thankful to be alive to be able to live through a Chiron return to where it goes from theoretical to lived. And even if you talk to people and they got them in their chart, I mean, you get live data about, but it's another thing to live it. It's one thing to study a quincunx and a yod than it is to actually live it and I mean to have to be born with it, be born with two of them. You know, um it's one thing to talk about a grand fixed cross. It's another thing to be born with it. And you keep understanding it as you keep going. Um the 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 cardinal cross, you know, yeah, I'll show y'all my chart sometime. And I think it helps me with being an astrologist because it's like somebody come in and they got this trans, you're like, okay, I'm thankful that I've lived through the midlife, um, the midlife, what they call it, damn, crisis. Uranus opposite Uranus, Pluto square Pluto, Neptune square Neptune, you know, um, and with Saturn at such a pivotal point in the chart, I look forward to life on the second half because Saturn it delays things. Um, and I've learned that the pain and the suffering of not getting things early, they are payment for getting things on the back end. So, in conclusion, these are some of the truth revelations Yeah. Yeah, Straight Panther. Panic had the power to put the truth out in a powerful, hard way. Right. And it's take it or leave it, you know? And but yeah, this the truth revealed has been what this conversation has ultimately been about. And it's been therapeutic for me. It's been cathartic. Um, and I thank you all for sharing in it. Congratulations, Sage, on new baby. I know you're studying is it a boy? I think you said it's a boy. I know you're studying his or her chart. And oh yeah, yeah. So that's an amazing time. But we're hoping he has a brilliant, passionate, and purposeful life coming up, you know. So if you all need any consultation about your personal journey, of course, you know, the ticker's running 720astrology.com. And, you know, if don't forget, I do pre-recorded readings as well as live. So if financially things are tighter right now, you can consider doing you a pre-recorded 60 or 90-minute reading. You know, if you got a lot of questions, you may consider the 90 just to make sure there'll be enough time for me to cover everything. But I truly feel like I was called to do this because of the contract that I accepted based on the time that I came in and where all these planets were aligned. And I think it gives a unique perspective that is forged in fire, that is birthed through pain, and been rewarded through the endurance of time. I have died 1,000 times in this life. That's Pluto trine my sun, sextile my ascendant. I have always had to kill the character off and come back and recreate it. And that's the gift of Pluto, the hard gift. And so if you're at a point in your life where the character has to be written out of the script, don't be dismayed. I've had to do it several times. And I can help guide you through the process because the reward is that on the other side, just like Sage is talking about, there's a new baby. And if you can master that, you've mastered the earth realm. Jamal Robinson, 720astrology.com, circle-of-life.com. Know the stars to know yourself. And of course, stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace. We'll wrap it up with we'll throw something on.
I'm feeling like Shadrach, Me, Shaq, Abednego, they want me to lose my balance like I got vertigo. It's vertical that I go to, I touch the cervical spine. My mind, oh my, better than apple pie. A Mac systems, the word catch rhythm. Spaz out when flutes play, empty space fill 'em with bars that fragment light like glass prisms. If they want the game, here's some fair, go and get 'em. But I promise you the tongue is a sword, might split 'em. Infuse the source in you with the first breath blue. There's fire in my shoes, on top of my head too. It can warm, it can light or burn, it's up to you. The book's red like oxidized iron, the crook's blade. The blade pointed, pencil in hand, the beast fed. The bull stops here, I grip horns and get ahead. Left the carcass in the mountains of the Caucasus. The consequences of dabbling in metropolises. The city's opposites live the life of opulence, while the chosen, the few, is rather obvious when flutes play. When flutes play. Yeah. When flutes play, they say the feet move like Pele. Sharp knife fillet. When the words spit finay. When flutes play, they say the feet move like Pele. Sharp knife fillet. When the words spit finay. You may ask, Jamal, why you speaking such coded metaphor? My reply, so I can let hot air pass like a matador. My math's a cure for the unaccounted for, pure, who lost the jewel but confined to fraudulent sewers. The smell is hell, but you be amazed what manure can spark life in. When the odds ain't right, then seed still finds miraculous ways to grow at night. Sin is the move of primal ocean. Set round 80 BPM so I can go in. Fire hit, water smoking. Every word spoken is a token to mend what has been broken. The flute melody floating. Something bubbling in the pot, lethal potion. Sniff, get a whiff, it's a gift. Him most high, most fly, most shy. I am that I am with a clear eye.